Okay, today I'm going to show you 5 runs and fills that you can use when you're accompanying a singer on the piano. Most of the time when you're accompanying a singer, when they're singing, you'll be playing some sort of pattern. But then when there's an opportunity to fill in, when they're holding a note or when there's some time where they're not singing, then you want to be able to fill in the spaces. And the more tricks you have and the more tools you have to do that, the better. And so here's 5, and I'm going to start with some that are more simple, and I'm going to move up to the harder ones. And I'll demonstrate these in a couple different songs. But the first one is actually very easy, but it's very effective. And that is when there's a note that's being held. Just play whatever you're playing in your accompaniment. Just play it an octave higher. And so, say we're playing Amazing Grace, and they're singing. So that's a half note right there. I can hold that for 2 beats. So as they sing, I would just take this right hand and play exactly what I'm playing an octave higher. And it's very effective. It's a great way to fill in. Now, of course, you can modify this, and really you can play anything in the chord, and you can play it up as high as you want, and depending on how much time you have, you can continue to go up higher and higher. So say I get to the end of the song, that's a great way to fill an empty space, and it's very easy, especially if you just take exactly what you're playing and just play it up higher. And of course, if you have more time, now this works really well because all it is, it's an arpeggio, and you'll hear pianists that are really good. They'll play these flashy arpeggios up the piano to fill in. And if you're able to do that, that's great. If you're not able to do that, this is pretty much the same thing. You just, instead of breaking the notes up, you're playing them together. This is really a great way to fill in. And again, you can experiment. You could use both hands and just play octaves as long as it's in whatever chord you're playing. So when I get to Amazing Grace, this opportunity where I'm holding this note for 2 beats is a G chord, so I can use any of these notes, G, B, or D. So I can go and that's a really great effective way. So octave up is what I call it. Just playing whatever you're playing in the right hand, or even using both hands and just playing up an octave or 2 octaves. And now the next one is to bounce to 4. Now this is when you change the chord, but just for a moment. So go back to Amazing Grace. You're going to use the 4 chord of whatever key or whatever chord we're playing. So I was playing Amazing Grace in the key of G. So the G chord will be used a lot, and then you have the C chord, and then the D chord. So we're in the key of G, but whatever chord you're holding, you want to think for a moment in that key and think of its 4 chord. So in the key of G, the 4 chord is C. So if I'm holding a G, I can bounce to the C chord quickly as a nice fill. Now, if I'm in the key of G but I'm holding a C chord, then the 4 chord would be the F. Now you want to be careful with that one, only because in the key of G, if I'm holding a C and I bounce to the F chord, I'm using an F natural, which can work. But just keep in mind that in the key of G, the F should be sharp, so it's going to sound. You're going to hear that that accidental. That's the F natural. And then if I'm holding a D chord, this one works out well because the D chord, the 4 of the D, is the G chord. So again, for a moment you have to think in the key of the chord you're playing. So although I'm playing an Amazing Grace in the key of G, as I hold out a D chord, I'm going to momentarily think of myself in the key of D, and then play the 4 chord in the key of D. 1, 2, 3, 4. Same thing with the G chord, and then also the C chord. So let me show you how this would sound if I were to hold it, and then right there I'm going to bounce to the 4, and you'll see what I'm talking about. I'm going to do it again right here on the D. So I just went D, G, D. I'm bouncing to the 4. So let me show you what it sounds like if on the C chord. So again, remember, I'm in the key of G, but while I play this chord here, and I'm going to bounce to the 4, I'm going to think of myself in the key of C for a moment, and then in the key of C, the 4 chord is F. So I have that opportunity right here. It goes to the F chord right here. I'm sorry, it goes to the C chord right here, and then if I'm holding that, I can bounce to the 4. So it can work there, definitely, but you just want to be mindful that you're going to be getting a note that's out of the key and use it. But what really works nicely is when the 1 of the chord is the melody. That's what happened on this D, because then I can hold that melody note and I have some inner voice movement going on when I bounce to the 4. So anytime you see a chord and the 1 of the chord, okay, so that means the root note is the melody, then you can bounce to the 4, and you have some nice inner voice movement underneath of the melody note that can be sustained. Like when I did it here, that's not a bad spot to do it, but the melody note is D, so the melody note, you're kind of hearing it as the melody. But so that's bouncing to 4. Now, the next two are runs, and the first one is a major an add 2 run. So on any chord, think of it as root 3 and 5, and then you can continue to add notes to any chord by continuing the same pattern. Skip a note, play a note. So if it's G, I'm thinking in the key of G. I've got 1 sharp, so it's root 3, 5. Then if I do the same pattern, this is the 7, major 7, and then this would be the 9, the 11, and the 13. So that's all the notes you could possibly use for a G major chord in the key of G, because if we do it again, we're back at G, and notice all these notes just make up the G scale. But these different notes, when added to a G in certain ways, can give it a really nice sound. So we're going to add this one. This is the 9. 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. But when you add the 9 only without the 7, we actually call it adding the 2. If you say I'm going to add the 9, it implies that you're also adding the 7. So we're going to add the 2. That there is the basis of this run. And a great way to do it is thumb on the 5 of the chord. So thumb will be on D. Then 2, 3, and 4. This fits really nicely under the hand, and it's easy to run up. So anytime you have a moment to fill, you can do that run up the piano. It's a really, really nice fill. Add 9 run. And of course, you can do this in all the other keys as well, and all the other chords. So if it's a C chord, the pattern is, let's take the 9. There's your 7, there's your 9. So we're going to leave out the 7, add 2. So we're going to do this chord right here. Again, we're going to take our thumb on the 5 of the chord, which is the G, 2 on the C, 3 on the D, 4 on the E. And it fits under the hand really nicely. And of course, there's all kinds of different things you can do with this as you get more comfortable with it. I'll quite often use this at the end of a song, as they're holding out the final note. And just end on that nice run. But now keep in mind though, if it's a black note run, so if you say if you're in the key of A flat, this would be the run in A flat. Okay, that's my 1, 9, 3, and 5. You're not going to want to do it the same way. This is kind of hard because if I put my thumb on that black note. So good rule of thumb is to keep the thumb on the white notes. So find some way to do this run and use the white notes. So when I do it, I do thumb on the C, 2 finger on the E flat, 3 on the A flat, 4 on the B flat. That may be kind of hard because it's a big stretch here. So another option is, and I talked about this in another video that you can check out, but you can have the left hand help. So you want the left hand to help going from when you're going from a black note to a white note. So what I would do is I would use my right hand for C, E flat, A flat. Left hand would help on the B flat. Then that would set me up for the next section. So you can set up any run that way when you have black and white notes. Just make sure that the left hand helps on a black note before a white note. Then it makes it real easy. In the key of D flat, it would look like this. F, A flat, D flat, E flat. So the next run that I'm going to look at is the major 9 run. So in this case, we're going to use the major 9. So remember what I said with add 2. If we say we're going to add the 9, it implies we're adding the 7 as well. So now we're going to use the major 9, which includes the 9 and the 7. So let's go back to the C chord. C, E, G. This is 1, 3, and 5. Here's the 7, and here's the 9. So we're going to use the 7 and the 9 with the C chord. Now keep in mind, a really pretty chord is just to play a G chord over a C chord. So you're getting those 2 colors in there, the 9 and the 7. This is a really pretty way to play a C chord if it's a C major. So what we're going to do is we're going to take that chord and we're going to take it and turn it into a run. And the idea is a G chord over a C. So there's a C, there's a G chord. But we're actually going to put the C in the run. So it's going to look like, this is what our run is going to look like. So you'll notice that it's a C chord, but it's missing the E, and it has the 9 and the 7. So we're going to go, this is our run basically. But the way we're going to set this up, I think it fits really nicely under the hand. And this is a run coming down. So we're going to start up high. We're going to play the C, then the 7, the 5, and the 9. So it's going to be C, then a G chord, C, G chord, C, G chord. And this is a really, really pretty run. But it is a bit of an awkward cross. So I was just doing that there pinky, then I reset to the pinky. You can also do like this, thumb, 2, 3, and 4, and then you can cross over with the 4 to the C. But either way, that's a really pretty fill and run. So anytime there's someone's holding a note, so you're playing someone coming, they're singing, and you get to a spot where they're holding out, you can, depending on how much time you have, you can shorten it up. So that's the add 9. Now, in different keys, it's basically going to be the same thing. You're going to take the root of the chord, so say if we're in the key of B flat, the root of the chord, and then we're going to play the 5 chord underneath. So if we're in the key of B flat, the 5 chord is F major. So we're going to play the B flat, and then we're going to play an F underneath, and that's our run. So again, if that's hard for you to get this fingering, 4, 3, 2, 1, then you can use the pinky and then just reset. That's hard to do with the black note. So in this case, you can have the left note, the left hand help with the black note, and then you can also do this run up. I've always used this one. I think it's much more effective just as a descending run. And this is also a good ending. I use this quite often to end a song. If we finish the song, just stop right there. So it's really pretty as an end as well. And let's see here. The last one I'm going to look at is it's basically just a walk up, but it's a great one to use at a climactic point of a song. Usually when we go into a bridge and the energy builds, or when we go into a strong chorus, and that is just a walk up from the 1 of the chord to the 3. Just like that. And so there's a great song called I Stand Redeemed that I play quite often. And when you get to that chorus, it's always a powerful part of the song. The verse starts and then it builds to this climax of the chorus.
Yet every time I come before his throne, I stand redeemed by the blood of the Lamb. I stand redeemed before the great I am.
So a great place to put this is we're in the key of F, but the first chord of the chorus is the 4 chord, which is B flat. I stand redeemed by the blood of the Lamb. So that's a great spot to do it. And actually, you could do it there, or you could do it on the next chord. Now you may say, well, that doesn't sound very grandiose to me, but what you want to do is you want to add to this. So this is the basis of it. So usually, if you can do if it's 2 beats you're trying to fill, you can do 1, 2, 3, 4, or you can just do 1. You can just do 2 eighth notes, but you want that 3 of the chord to hit a downbeat. 2, 3, 4, or in that second example, when I get so no matter however much time you have, but I usually do 2 quick eighth notes or sometimes 16th notes to get to that downbeat. So I stand redeemed. Here's the downbeat right there on the 3rd beat. By the blood of the Lamb. Then I'm gonna hit this on the 2nd, right there. But you'll notice that there are sometimes where it doesn't fit. Usually it's best when the melody is holding a note, because if you do this while they're singing, it gets covered and you may distract from what they're singing. So form of that. Now, I was going to show you if you want to make this even better, and a lot of times I'll do this in like the first chorus, I'll just do it left hand only. In the second chorus, as the song builds, I'll add the right hand to it. Now, you can have the right hand mirror this, or you can have the right hand play a third above the left hand. So if I'm on the B flat, that would be a third above. So the left hand is playing B flat, C, D. The right hand would play D, E, F. So that's one option, or of course it could just play unison. Now, another thing that I do is, like I said, quite often if I use this the first time through, the first chorus, I'll just do the left hand only. The next time through, I'll do the right hand. I'll add the right hand to it. And then the final time, when I want to pull out all the stops, we're at the climax of the song, then I will take my right hand. Remember the first fill we talked about was just an octave up. I'm just going to move it up. I'm just going to play. I'm going to mirror the left hand with this run, but I'm going to play it an octave higher. So I'll go, I stand redeemed by the Lamb. I stand redeemed. So you'll find that you'll hear it. You hear it all the time. This is used all the time by people that are accompanying. And besides that, it's also just such a great way to add a lot of energy, and it's a great, powerful movement. Now, I'll say also that it works especially well when the next chord is the 4 chord. So, because this leading tone goes nicely to the 4 chord, but it's not necessary. It's a great run to use, even if you're going back to the 1 chord or to the 5 chord. And you can use this on any of your major chords. So if I'm in the key of C, I can use it on the 1 chord. If I'm in the key of C, I can use it on the 4 chord. And if I'm in the key of C, also the 5 chord. Keep in mind, though, the 4 chord is going to have it's going to have a different sound, and I think it's the best sound of the 3. But the reason why it has a different sound is because with the 1 and the 5, we have the 4 it's in a natural position. That note that we're hitting right there, the 4 of the C chord. It's a natural 4. You say, well, what does that mean? Well, if you go to the F, the natural 4 would be the B flat, but in the key of C, we're going to hit the B natural. Now, this is what's called the sharp 4, and I've talked about this in some of my other accompaniment videos. But the sharp 4 is a very pretty note to use. So when you get to the 4 chord, the 4 will be it'll be sharp. It'll be raised in relation to the 4 chord, and it's really pretty sound. So keep that in mind when you get to the 4 chord. It's a great opportunity to use it. In my opinion, that's the best sound. So if I'm in the key of G, my 4 chord is C. So now you'll notice when I get to that section right there, that F is sharp. So it gives me that sharp 4 sound on the run. So a C with an F sharp in it is really, really pretty. Anytime you get the opportunity to use that. And there are some hymns that just have it naturally. Day by Day has it in there. When you go, it's just a sharp 4, and it's a really beautiful sound. So keep that in mind when you get to the 4 chord and you're going to do that run. You get the opportunity to play a major chord with a sharp 4. And for just an extra tip, you can incorporate the sharp 4 to make a nice run. If you don't do it in a more nuanced way, though, you might find it sounds a little out there. So if you just throw that in, people listening may say, "Whoa, what was that?" So what I like to do is I play a D major chord over a C. Or some way to sneak in that F sharp without it being as noticeable. Or you can play a G major 7 over your C. And a great way to do it is just to hit it and then get off of it real quick, like this. That's a great way to do it as well. But anyway, so to review the 5 fills that we went over, starting from easiest to harder, we've got the octave up, real easy way to just fill in. We've got the bounce to 4. We've got the 2 runs, the add 2 run. Then we've got the major 9 run. Then we've got the walk up fill. And I hope that helps you in accompanying singers on the piano.